Mandel, what's up, man?
Hey buddy, how are you?
Good, how are you? Happy to have you on here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm a little late.
Oh, no worries at all, man. Start us off. You were born in Vancouver, and what was that journey like from Vancouver to Montreal, and how did you first get into combat sports?
Yeah, it was kind of long and winding, but I started off in a city called Ottawa, which is Canada's capital, and it's near enough to Montreal that when I started to get good as an amateur, I I got invited, or somebody I knew helped me to get invited to a pro sparring at TriStar, and then it was so special, that room back then, when George was active, and guys like Dave Loiseau, Yves Jabouin, like there were a bunch of killers in that room. So it was pretty clear that I just needed to be there. And luckily for me, the dorms were starting up right around the time that I was getting ready to move out there. So that's how it all worked out.
So you mentioned the dorms at the end there. Was that a place that you were living there and really fully committing yourself to that gym at that time?
Yeah, that's right. It was me and a bunch of other dudes. Obviously, I was there with Eamon and a friend of ours called Louis Sanudakis. We were like a trio for sure, all in the same age, getting good at the same time. But there were tons of guys that came through the dorms. Yeah, that was the spot.
So you're living there with two other guys. You guys all have the same goal and mentality to get better and make it pro. What's the energy like in there day to day? Because I can assume it's not like a college dorm.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more serious. I think it was a pretty special thing. Nobody wanted to miss a single session because the rest of the room would just be like, "Where were you?" Like, we all live together. We know you have zero excuse, and it kind of built us to be crazy, crazy training partners, where we would just constantly be in the room, no matter if you're tired, whatever, no matter what your last night was like, you're in the room. So it was really nice to be there with the guys that are all like minded.
Well, obviously, having, that group of like minded people around you ended up faring well for you as you made your debut in the UFC pretty recently at 36 years old. That's a later age to make your debut compared to a lot of other fighters. What kept you going through the regional grind all those years, and what did that long journey teach you about yourself for the pros?
Obviously, the UFC is the ultimate goal, and winning a world title in the UFC is the ultimate goal. But like, if you don't enjoy the day to day without being in the UFC, then you're never going to be successful in the UFC. Like, just because uh you're fighting at a regional scene, like if your work ethic isn't strong, or you're hating training hard every day, then you're never going to be successful. So for me, I was always like, I love being in the gym with my friends every day, trying to work on improving my game. So it was never really a doubt that I would make it somewhere, because I knew the work I was doing was worthwhile.
Like I said, you did make that debut. And I noticed that when you talk about the guys in the gym, you call them your friends more than your teammates. With that, you're training under Firas Sahabi at TriStar Gym. And, that's a place and that's a coach that people dream about fighting under. Tell me about that relationship, how it came about, and how it's developed over the years.
Yeah, I mean, Fraz has learned along with us. He was so young when he was cornering George to his world title reign, like, it's a pretty cool thing to see him grow into such an exceptional coach. And he's just so well suited to it. But yeah, my relationship with Faraz is like, he's like a big brother, he's given me a lot of advice over the years, and even after this last loss, every win or loss is pretty much the same. We just debrief after the fight, and we work on improving right away. Like, it's not like we're moping around or overly celebrating after a win. We just get right back to work, and that's why I love Faraz so much. He really is obsessed with improving people's game. Um, so I will never stop bragging about how great a coach he is.
Well, you'll never stop having things to brag about with a guy like Firas Sahabi coaching you. I'd love to talk a little bit more about the regional scene. You spent years on that circuit across Canada, Mexico, and beyond before getting that shot. What was the grind actually like day to day, And what were the hardest moments in that period of your career?
The hardest thing about being on the regionals is like, first of all, people were asking me before this UFC fight, like, oh, is the pressure different? No, the pressure is like almost less because at least when you're in the UFC, everybody knows you're at a certain
Mm-hmm.
level. Whereas if you lose on the regionals, everybody thinks you're a bum,
100%.
And there can be killers, on that scene. Everybody that gets good comes from the regionals. And then the other thing is like the uncertainty. Never really know when your next one is coming. Like even if you have a promoter that works with you and they try to give you ample time to prepare for matchups, for me it was always like, oh, you're fighting in 3 weeks, or you might not be fighting again for another 6 months. Like we don't know when the next show is. A lot of like local promoters, it's not
Mm-hmm.
even a knock on them, but they'll try to lock you into like a 3 fight contract, but they only put on 4 shows a year. So, like you don't know when your next
Mm.
one is going to be. And it's not even about getting paid, it's about getting work and just like progressing your career. So to me, that's the hardest thing is like people not understanding that your job is still the same. You're still fighting a guy in a cage. So you're better off doing it for more money and with more, credit in the UFC than doing it at a local level where
Mm-hmm.
nobody really cares.
Well, you mentioned local tournaments, so you were obviously getting a lot of work in, a lot of experience. The matches that were on record, you went 14-3 before getting that final call. That's a long time to be winning at a high level without the UFC knocking on your door. Were there moments in that time that you thought the call might never come, or was that never really a mindset?
Yeah, no, I always just assumed it would. Maybe I'm crazy, but I just figured I was good enough, and like a lot is made out of a guy's age.
Mm-hmm.
But really, if you if you fight well and you're exciting, it's hard for them to know. There are
100%.
tons of good fighters out there, but there aren't that many good, exciting fighters out there that are making the weight consistently. Like every guy's got an asterisk next to their, like guys that they should be looking at maybe, but oh, this guy's missed weight 4 times. Oh, he's popped on juice. This, like there's always something. So if you're just a guy who does the right work and shows up and is a professional, I think you're good to go.
Well, you not only did that, but you showed how entertaining you are in those 14 fights. You had all finishes. Is that a mentality you come into with a fight that you're going to finish your opponent? Or do you, with these next steps going on a bigger stage like UFC, are you learning to try and pace a decision fights for later rounds?
I mean, the plan is always to go to a decision. Like, otherwise, I wouldn't train that hard. I would just
Mm,
train for 2 minutes and then assume that the fight would be over. But like, every training camp is crazy. But the fights play out how they do. I think I need to revamp my training a little bit and hunt the finish less in the cage. I got to work on that mentality because in the gym I'm a lot more patient than I was the other night.
mm-hmm. In your most recent fight against Jai Herbert on April, it didn't go the way that we had planned, with it getting stopped in the first round. There's been some time. How have you processed it? And like you said, you're revamping your training. What does that look like in the future?
Yeah, I think it's more of a mindset thing and an understanding that I need to I need to like fight to my strengths always. Like I don't know if anybody watched the fight, but clearly I think on the outside I was like a super like I was more dangerous for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that. And
Yeah, no,
hunting the
though every
finish,
strike was significant for sure.
yeah, so hunting the finish really exposed me to a range that I didn't need to be in, and I should have just kind of eased off and let the finish happen rather than really force the finish, which my best fights, that's what happens. The guy
Mm-hmm.
falls on something. And I think that's where I can really shine. And so I just need to really hammer that into myself that like I don't need to do anything more than be myself to get these finishes. And I think having the clarity of mind in competition is going to be something that I need to improve in the future.
100%. I can definitely see that. And with this power coming from your strikes and the speed, looking instead of rushing for the finish, letting the finish come is definitely something that I can see being successful in fights to come. You're
Yeah.
36 years old, you're finally in the UFC, and you're training at one of the best gyms in the world. What does the future look like for Mandel now?
Yeah, I think just get like I just need to book a fight ASAP and like if I simply improve on the things that I made mistakes on in the previous fight, like I know how good I am. Like it wasn't a technical issue, it was a tactical issue. So if I can brush up the tactics, I think the sky's the limit for my skill set. And so it's a pretty exciting thing. I just gotta, not like I know what a lot of guys will lose and they'll take a lot of time off or they'll be disheartened. Like I am I've never been more motivated, like so it's an exciting time honestly because I just get to do more work.
Well, you're 36. Some guys are hanging up the gloves, but you're here, you're talking, you have the energy of a 23-year-old. How full is that gas tank?
I got the body of a 23-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, like it depends. Like mileage is a big thing, and I think we take care of our bodies at TriStar, and we're definitely an older gym when it comes to our top guys,
Mm-hmm.
and we take that seriously, and it's not about how it's not about how hard you really train in a short period of time. Like we love the lifestyle so much that it's going to be hard keeping ourselves out of the gym when we are retired, like so it's not even a thought in our minds at this point. Right now we're just happy to be training together.
Or you mentioned wanting to fight after retiring. Is coaching a waypoint that you think of, or is that not even just not in the headspace right now?
I don't want to coach fighters. I think helping people to improve at striking and jiu-jitsu is important, and I love doing that. But coaching fighters, that's you gotta have to be a special guy for that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I do not envy his lifestyle. The amount of footage he has to watch and traveling he has to do is not does not seem fun for me.
Well, I can definitely see that. I have a couple more questions before we get into the card. The nicknames. You've had
Hmm.
two very different nicknames, Rat Garbage and Mango. Those are about as far on the spectrum as they can get. Just tell me about how both of them originated. And you're listed as Rat Garbage now everywhere, but I see in videos people still call you Mango. Which one are we leaning towards nowadays?
I let whoever is wants to call me whatever decide. I don't really care. Like I feel like you're never a guy that picks his nickname, so it's always been whatever people want. My friends call me Mango, and then usually people who know me from just fighting call me Rat Garbage. So I'll take whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
100%. Well, where did that? I mean, Rat Garbage. That's as unique as it gets. Where did that come
Yeah,
from?
yeah. It just came from not wanting like when I was building or like starting an Instagram profile. I didn't want to just be Mandel Nallo MMA at Instagram or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that that was boring, and so I just I chose the craziest possible tag that I could find on Instagram, and then it grew from there. Really,
I mean, I like it. It's unique, gets people's attention, and when people get attention, they see all the first round finishes. So, another fan gained every time.
definitely a notable nickname.
Oh, 100%. My final question: when the gloves come off, who is Mandel Nallo? What are your hobbies? And
Uh, just a guy. Really, I like nice things, and I like my family. But really, yeah, just a normal guy. That's
would you say your main hobby is training, inside out of the gym? That's all you're thinking about, or do you get your joy from some other hobbies on the side?
yeah, like outside of my family, I like food. I like to cook food. I like to I like fashion. I like looking at clothes. I like art. Um, but yeah, obviously training is
Mm-hmm.
far and away the most important thing.
100%. And you mentioned clothing and art. I've seen your merchandise line a couple times. Is that are you the creator of that? Like you make the art and all of that?
Yeah, that's all me. I make the art. I'm I talk to, tailors about pattern design. I do everything. Yeah, materials, the whole thing.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun little side project.
Is that something that you'd continue, after the UFC or after fighting?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like a good outlet for me, and it's a frivolity to a lot of people, but I think it's the first way you really get to express yourself outwardly. So I think they're pretty important.
I That's actually a pretty cool way of thinking about it. All right, first up, we got Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. Um, Two younger guys for sure. Smaller. Jose more of a grappler, or Jose a lot more of a striker. Carpenter a grappler. What are we thinking for
Mhm.
this one?
Let me see here. Um, I don't know. I don't know either guy. I think they're probably both both great young gentlemen. Um, what do you know anything about either guy?
I've talked to Jose a good bit. He's at Chute Boxe with Diego Lima. He has all of his wins by finish, and I picked him just because he was able to get up and defend takedowns against Asu Ala- Alamayev, who's a
Almaba. Yeah.
yeah, you know him. Okay, he's a really good grappler. So he was only able to
Yeah.
land under 50% of his takedowns against him. So I think that if he keeps it up, he'll knock him out.
Yeah, okay. Good call. I'll go with you. I like Diego Lima's team.
Right? Yeah, no, the striking there is definitely on point. We got Hamzat's little buddy,
Yeah.
Bysanger Sursakaya versus Jordan Santos, who I
I think you
believe.
got to go with the streaking uh by Sangur. He's looked pretty good,
Mm,
and I don't think they'd be setting him up with anybody that's too much for him. I think a guy like that's shown that he can be special. They let guys like that be special. So I would assume him, but I don't know anything about Jordan.
yeah, I also don't know much about him. I'm pretty sure he fought Ozzy Diaz in his last fight, but I don't remember who won.
Hmm.
I think he might have won. This is another interesting one. We got Pat Sabatini, super experienced grappler, primary, most of his wins by submission versus William Gomes, who has, he's very unpredictable fighter in most of his fights. What are we
Yeah,
thinking here?
I would sway towards Sabatini just because I know how good of a grappler he is. And the last time I remember him losing was against Diego Lopez. So that, there's nothing you can really take from that. Diego Lopez is a buzzsaw, and it was like a first round KO. So I think I would lean towards Sabatini.
I agree. And I mean, like, can't really compare Diego Lopez to William Gomez, too. This is a
No.
really fun one. We got Roman Kopylov versus Marco Tulio. Both primarily strikers. Tulio a little better on the ground. Kopylov a little stronger in the hands. What do we think for this one?
Mm, I wouldn't I wouldn't like say definitively, but I like Kapilov. I think he's pretty good, and he's not bad at defending takedowns. So if he is able to edge it out on the feet, then and he's able to keep it standing, then I would assume him.
I agree. I think that, I mean, this is the easiest fight since his last win because he's
He
faced.
fought somebody good his last fight, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think was Paulo Costa his last fight.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, the fight before. Oh, it
Was
was Cyber. It was
RoboCop.
RoboCop and Paulo. So yeah, this I'd say this is his easiest fight since Chris Curtis.
Yeah, going 3 rounds with RoboCop is not a joke.
I completely agree. And Costa.
Yeah,
All right, this is another pretty interesting one. Honestly, the odds are pretty interesting for me as well. We got Jared Gordon versus Jim Miller. Two older, super experienced guys. Jim Miller does what he does best. Made weight again. He has a
yeah.
really interesting story. He's his son just beat, I think, I don't want to say cancer, but his son just beat an illness, and he's saying he's fighting for the money, so to pay for
Holy,
it, which is
that sucks. That's sad to hear.
which is
Um,
why I've been heavily leaning towards him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm friends with Jared. I trained with him, so I'm. We won't even call this fight. We won't even say we're pulling for one guy.
Hmm
Uh, I hope they both. I hope they get fight of the night, money
Yeah.
bone. Both guys. They're amazing, both guys. I'm a fan of both.
And they're also like both like fight of the night here is definitely a possibility if this
Yeah,
fight goes to the
exactly.
decision.
They're both dogs.
All right, next and another really interesting fight here. We got Mateusz Rebecki versus Grant Dawson. Dawson a lot more longer, a lot taller, much better on the ground. Rebecki, who has Nate Diaz like scar tissue, but he has really good striking. What do we think here?
I mean, you have to give it to Rebecki, just because Dawson's last fight was a
Mm-hmm.
quick KO. And he was saying he had some neck issues before that, and it hasn't been that long. And when he fights guys who favor striking, usually he seems a little gun shy. When he's fighting another wrestler, he looks like a monster. He looks really hard to fight. I think he's really good. But when he's fighting a striker, he seems tentative. He delays his shot, just like when he fought Bobby Green. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was tentative to go in, and then he got KO'd. Same thing with the last guy, and then Rebecki's got exceptional range. So if he stifles Grant Dawson's first takedown, I can't imagine it going well.
I completely agree. And I mean, Rebecca's so strong, and he's pretty durable too. Going again, beating
Hey, he's
Orlby.
getting into those legs. He's 5'7" at lightweight. Like you got that's a low shot. You got
Yeah, no, he's like a pretty stocky
stout.
guy, I'd say.
Yeah,
So I agree with you for this one. I also picked Rebecca. Another super interesting fight. We got
yeah,
Yaroslav Amosov, who people are comparing him to Khabib. People are comparing him to Islam with his grappling. He submitted Neil Magny, which isn't like the craziest thing in the world, but it was still a pretty dominant win. We got Joel Alvarez, who is incredibly strong in the hands, is racking
yeah.
up KOs, has more experience in the cage, but doesn't compare on the ground. What do we think for this one?
Honestly, I would lead towards Torres. Um, I think Amosov's only loss was against Jason Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
who got a similar frame and build to Alvarez. I would lean towards Alvarez just because, yeah, similar frame and build, similar power, and while Amosov's win against Magny was impressive,
Mm-hmm.
it's also like I don't know if you can be that physical with a guy like Alvarez. So that's my takeaway. But I think tight fight either way.
I agree. This is a fight I stayed away from, and I think this fight can go really any way. Decision, no decision.
It's
Alvarez.
a toss up.
I agree. It's just the way you said it. I really agree. I mean, Joel Alvarez has a completely different frame from Neil Magny, so
Yeah,
that's going to be actually pretty
way
interesting to see.
physically stronger. And Jason Jackson was also
Big dude.
physically very strong.
hmm So yeah, I could actually definitely see him catching a little chin there.
Yeah.
So Ozzy Diaz, who I mentioned earlier, coming in as the biggest underdog at plus 700, coming against Ateba Gautier, who is a beast. I mean, KO after KO. He's coming off of a pretty shaky fight, to be honest, where people thought he
Yeah.
was going to get the first round finish, and that did not occur. What are we thinking for this one?
I mean, it's a shame. But yeah, if Gautier manages to pace himself properly, I can't imagine Ozzy Diaz having that much success. You can just kind of see it. I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of fighter Ozzy Diaz is. I've never seen him fight, but you can see what they're trying to do here.
Him, yeah, no, I actually completely agree. And to go on that, Ozzy, who is the biggest underdog compared to Bison to Jordan. The Jordan fought Ozzy, and it was a decision fight. It was pretty lackluster.
You
So
kind of see,
for both of them, would you agree?
yeah,
hmm
yes,
So yeah, I mean, I think he KOs him in the second round if he paces himself correctly. My favorite fighter who got me into UFC, Bobby King Green.
oh nice,
I love this guy. Super experienced, love him on the mic. Super
yeah,
fast. He's been having a little hot streak recently too, which is awesome. This is a super interesting matchup though. Jeremy Stevens. This isn't. I wouldn't really say UFC is the promotion for him, but in his fight against Mason Jones, who's a good fighter, he stayed up. He didn't get knocked
Mason
out.
Jones, Mason Jones is hard to fight.
That's what I
You know,
mean. And
You
he,
know, one thing I'll say, like it's a hard fight to
mhm,
call because Bobby Green's lost to Drew Dober, like similar style
very
fighter to
similar.
Jeremy Stevens, where the guy will just keep trucking. It doesn't matter how you're not going to dishearten Jeremy Stevens with head movement. And if Bobby Green gets a little too excited about, slipping shots, something bad could happen because Jeremy Stevens really does have sick power.
I
Um,
agree. And with that sick power, he also has a pretty solid chin. He does not get finished often at all.
exactly. So I think and Bobby Green's last fight, he seems like he's really doubled down on being hands down
hmm
and walking forward now. So, that is a little bit,
Nerve wracking.
yeah, troublesome. But I think skill wise for MMA, Bobby Green is the guy. But matchup wise, it's a hard one.
It's going to be, I will not be sitting down for a second of this fight. I can guarantee you that much. So we got this card is so good. We got Sean Brady, number 6 ranked, versus Joaquin Buckley. Buckley, after his last fight with Usman, showed that he definitely has some openings on the ground. Brady uses the ground super well, but those are two completely different fighters. Both coming off a loss. Brady's also on the other side shown that he's able to get knocked out. What do we think for this one?
I would personally lean towards Sean Brady,
Mm,
but uh, it is tight. It all depends on who's made more improvements and who's like fresher. I think if Sean Brady is feeling any, shakiness about his chin or his ability to take a shot after the last loss,
mm,
then it's clearly very Buckley favored. But if Buckley hasn't made huge strides in his wrestling defense, Sean Brady's gonna, manhandle him
mm-hmm.
because Sean Brady really did look special against Leon Edwards, and Leon Edwards beat Kamaru Usman twice. And Kamaru Usman just kind of was able to control Buckley. So I would say if everything is equal and both guys' bodies are healthy, I would lean Brady. But tight fight.
I agree. I mean, it's like when you're a super amazing striker versus a super amazing grappler, the fight sort of almost favors the grappler because he can just, control the fight for an extended period of time. And that's what happened with Usman. So if
Yeah,
Brady has the confidence to get the takedown and keep going and manhandle him, I think he can easily do so.
and it's not like Buckley picks people off and
Mm-hmm.
uses footwork. Like he is a powerhouse. He trucks forward. Like when he knocked out Wonderboy, he was getting beat on the outside until he, forced
Pressured.
the
Mm-hmm.
issue later on. So Brady will always have the opportunity to level change and get into the legs. Whereas when the guy is a little more elusive, it's harder for the wrestler.
No, I completely agree. I definitely think the double or the single will be open for majority of the fight.
Especially Buckley likes to throw big hooks.
Yes, 100%. Leaving his leg wide open.
Yeah.
So, another super interesting fight. Two guys on completely different sides of their career. Waldo trying to make their push for a title fight, coming off a win. He's facing Alexander Volkov, who has been in there with literally everyone. He's seen it all. He's a little longer, more experienced. What do we think for this one?
Yeah, I think Waldo has looked pretty special in his fights, but then, fighting Derek Lewis, who looked like, you know, a banana peel kind of beat him in the last, like that was a ridiculous finish. So it's hard to take a lot away from that. Um, Waldo's obviously got great hands, but I can see Volkov just being able to stick the jab and
Mm-hmm.
that's I think he's just a little too long and experienced. I don't know. These are good fights. All of them are good fights. If you're going with recency bias, you're leaning Waldo, but I can see just the experience playing into Volkov's ability to win.
Yeah, I also picked Volkov here. I mean, I think if we look back a couple fights, the Gon fight, he won that. I think that was a
Yeah.
robbery personally. But the only thing that goes against him is his last fight against Almeida was a little risky, but I still think that the experience will take over here.
it's a big jump up in competition for
Mhm.
Waldo, you know? It's not
Huge, huge.
yeah.
All right, we got the co-main event. Joshua Van, who almost got the belt on, or who defeated Pantoja on what people could say a fluke almost, coming up against Tatsuro Taira, who is making his first showing for the title fight. He has the advantage here in grappling. Van has the advantage here in striking. A little shorter, has less length here. What do we think?
I lean Tyra. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's like probably the most underrated fighter in the UFC. He's sick. His back control is the best in the UFC. He's got great gas. His fight with Royval was awesome and a good kind of like learning experience for a young fighter. Uh, I think it's hard to take anything away from Van. He won the belt the way he did, but I think going off their resumes, Tyra's shown more in his wins than I think Van has shown in his. Like I think it's great being able to truck through other guys' power and walk
Mm-hmm.
people down and hurt them to the body. But I think also being that close, like the way he needs to win his fights is, in a phone booth boxing, and Tyra's just gonna grab your body. Like he's not gonna really box with you. I'm leaning Tyra. It's a cool fight though. I've been excited for this fight since it got canceled in Miami.
Yeah, I was also very excited for this one, and I also agree. I think Tyra takes this one, just because, like I said, you take a really good grappler and a really good striker, especially when the striker doesn't have the reach. Tyra's just gonna, if you give Tyra the ability to take you down, he's gonna take it every time. So,
And he hasn't shown like too much hesitancy
mhm.
against a striker. He's not afraid of, shooting the double or circling to the back. Like he'll mix it up with a striker. It's not like Royval was piecing him up really bad in the boxing. Like Royval always had to worry about the
Yeah,
shot.
100%. And I think that Royval is longer, so the reach here is a lot
Exactly.
different for sure.
So the first wrestling exchange will tell a lot in this fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. Definitely depends on how Van's able to defend it, and if he doesn't, how he's able to get up.
Yeah.
All right, finally, we have the main event. We got Sean Strickland, number three ranked, coming off of his honestly his best performance in a while, knocking out Anthony Fluffy Hernandez against the Wolf Hamzat Chimaev Borgs. I mean, what more can you say about him? He's a beast coming off of a decision win. But what do we think here?
I mean, like, you have to lean Hamzat
Mm-hmm.
just because of the way his entire career has just been him smoking people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really kind of dive a little bit deeper, it is a closer fight than I think people are understanding. Um, Sean Strickland against Fluffy. Obviously, Fluffy's nowhere near as explosive a wrestler as Hamzat, but he was extremely successful with his wrestling up until he met Sean Strickland, and so that's something to go off of. And then you have to think of how dominant Hamzat was against DDP. DDP was a guy who was kind of willing to concede that kind of 4 points turtle position, whereas Sean Strickland's not going to do that. Um, and the guys who gave Hamzat the biggest issue are guys that like continued the scramble. Like Gilbert Burns rolled to his
Mm-hmm.
back and started throwing 12 to 6 elbows, and that was a problem for Hamzat. Um, Same thing with Usman. He kept the wrestling really kind of active, and obviously Hamzat didn't like that. So it's more interesting than a lot of people give it credit for, not just because of the drama between the two, but you have to lean Hamzat for just because of what he may have been able to show.
Yeah, and I think that's a great breakdown here. If you do, when you look into it a little more, Strickland has a 76% takedown defense rate, which is
Yeah,
very high. He's very successful at defending the takedown. I think that it's a fight that Strickland could bring to a decision, which is not what people are seeing here at all. And after that first exchange on the ground, we'll definitely have a better idea of where this fight's going to go.
yeah, it's a hard one. A lot of people before the DDP fight were saying, "Oh, Hamzat's gonna get tired. He's got cardio issues," and then it looked like his cardio issues were solved. But he
Yeah.
was also in the same, very comfortable position for him of just hands locked around the body, beating the
Hmm.
shit out of the guy. So it's hard to really know if his cardio issues were fixed or if the fight was just too easy for him.
I completely agree. I mean, DDP was just okay with losing points there, which didn't
Yeah.
really make much sense to me.
I think he just assumed that by round three the guy would be tired, but he didn't really make him work for that.
No, not at all. All right, so I mean, we were pretty on par here with our picks. I mean, a lot of similarities. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hop on call. And when that next UFC call comes, because it obviously will, I'd love to hop on call and break it down with you, man.
Yeah, buddy, we will. It's going to be soon enough. I'm excited already. Like I said, I'm crazy motivated, and it's going to be sweet getting the comeback.
Do you have a time frame in mind right now, or we're just
I told them late July or August.
awesome, awesome? There's Baku's over there, Belgrade, Philly. Any of those
Yeah.
interest you?
Anywhere doesn't matter to me.
Awesome.
But
I
you're
mean,
in a cage at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter where it is.
100%. All right. Thank you so much again, and have a great rest of your day, man.
You too, buddy. Peace.
Peace. Thank you.